Hey, what's up, guys? Will here once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Greenville, Renato Moicano versus a Korean Zombie. Just before I get into breaking this fight card down, just want to say thank you. Last card was an awkward one. I felt really ill, felt really just did not feel great at all. Managed to get something out there for you. Actually had a pretty good card of picks, which was nice. A couple of nice underdog plays come through. But I just thank you to everybody that kind of reached out, said, hope I've got better, and so on and so on. So, yeah, I'm going to get fired into this one. Overall, fairly decent fight card. I think we've got a run now of serious run of cards, like 9 to 10 weeks in a row. So I was going to try and get the Dana White Contender Series stuff out, but then I was just like, I'm not going to be able to put enough time into watching enough fights with all these fights coming up and so on. I might try and make a Bellator one for later this week for the London card, but I am going back home on Wednesday, back to my mum's, who have not been there for nearly close to a year. So I'm taking my little girl down, whose birthday this weekend. So I don't know what's going to happen with next week's predictions for the Minneapolis card. I might just have to do it on my phone or give you very quick predictions on that. So yeah, we're going to fly through this one here if we can. Where is the fight card? It's disappeared. There we go. Andrea Ewell against Anderson dos Santos as well, guys. My timestamps, I know people are always asking as soon as I upload, where's the timestamps? Give me time. I will get them for you in due course. So yeah, Andrea Ewell, Anderson dos Santos. This was a weird one to start off with. I know a couple of weeks back when 238 was going down, that they had Anderson dos Santos opened a really heavy underdog. Andrea Ewell, sorry, was a heavy favourite. Now he's actually the underdog. Very close fight. I don't rate either guy very highly. I think it was weird to me that people were picking Andrea Ewell over Nathaniel Wood. Totally outclassed. I don't think Nathaniel Wood really even fought that well and still won the fight very convincingly. Very unorthodox, very long. Not sure what he's going to really be up to with his striking and so on. Dos Santos, to me, very low level, very aggressive and very durable. It's a guy that you have to kind of mind your P's and Q's with a little bit. How I see this fight going, now it's at pick 'em odds. I actually see value on Andrea Ewell as an underdog. It's going to be hard to kind of lay down money against someone like Andrea Ewell in this spot, but if it goes any higher, it might be a play I kind of look at, even though I should probably stay away. Andrea Ewell is going to be my pick. I think he's going to use that length and fight distance, try and not gas out and try and not take unnecessary shots, because if he does, then Dos Santos will start to kind of eat him up a little bit. So I'm going to pick Andrea Ewell in that one there. Deron Winn against Eric Spicely's up next. This actually the previous fight of Deron Winn and Bruno Santos was a fight I was probably my most looking forward to fighting the whole entire card. It was a great fight. It was really nice kind of finding out more about Bruno Santos, but alas, he pulled out over the weekend. Eric Spicely's got reinstated back to the UFC after going to CES, winning a couple of fights. Carl Magalhães and Leo Pla were his 2 wins there, both knockout wins in the first round. So he's got his opportunity back in the UFC. It's on short notice, so I don't blame the UFC for really making this. Like what I see from Deron Winn, 3-time All-American wrestler, uses his strikes obviously to get into his wrestling, his grappling, his single legs, got a good double leg, big right hand, but his striking has a lot to kind of be desired. It's something that he has to get better. 30 years old, so fairly old as kind of age-wise coming into the UFC, especially with so little experience, but yeah, MMA experience especially, but he has got some legit parts of his game that is going to win him fights in the UFC, and he might be one of these fighters that really grows into be a really good UFC fighter, training out of AKA, kind of like a mini DC when you look at him. Got some power, but his wrestling's where he's going to win this fight. For Spicely, he's going to look to try and use that jiu-jitsu, which he has some good jiu-jitsu. We've seen him in the past submit a few guys that he came through as a massive underdog. I just saw his betting line there. I think it's a minus plus 240. That's probably going to go up a little bit. Maybe even, I don't know, it might come down. I think it might go up a little bit. because people might be wanting Deron win a little bit more in this one here. I like him to win this fight, but I think it might be a lot kind of closer, and he has to watch what he's doing in this fight and doesn't leave his neck out there. So try and use a lot of single legs, maybe don't use double legs, and leave your neck out there to really get caught. So I'm going to pick Deron win there for the W. Ariane Lipsky against Molly McCann's up next. Seeing a lot of people super confident in Ariane Lipsky, and like I say, I was very disappointed in her UFC debut against Joanne Calderwood. Looked like, I know this happens sometimes when fighters come into the UFC. You're in there, you've fought in the kind of the lower leagues, and I'm not taking anything away from KSW because they are not the lower leagues over here in Europe. If you've seen one of their cards, they put on humongous fight cards out there in Poland. But there's that stigma of going to the biggest and best fight promotion in the world, and that is UFC. And she just looked tentative. She didn't expect Calderwood to get takedowns. She looked very fat-footed. She looked very slow, in my opinion. And I thought a lot more highly than that fight. I thought that she potentially, I picked her to win that fight. I thought she would beat Jojo, and she just never looked like she was even close to beating Jojo, in my opinion. Then you look at Molly McCann. She's fighting very close with people like Priscilla Cachoeira. That was always going to be like a stand-up fight, and she kind of started off best, but then she got that kind of brutal injury around the orbital, lost the third round to Cachoeira. There's a clear way of beating Molly McCann. If you're a decent wrestler and a decent jiu-jitsu practitioner, you will win fights against her because I don't think she's that advanced on the ground. I know she's been bringing in girls from kind of around the UK and some from Europe in for this one to maybe work on that. Predominantly, I see this being more of a stand-up fight. And I think McCann's got a chance, actually. I think it's an all-around like technical striker. I think Lipsky is definitely the more technically sound fighter there. When you look at McCann, she's kind of she burrows forward. She kind of overstretches with her striking, but if she can land on you, she can push you back and hurt you a little bit. But she is open to being countered all day long. So Lipsky, if she's smart, she maybe tries to take this to the ground, because I think she might just have a slight advantage. Not by much, in my opinion. I think this fight's, I'm seeing people going on about Lipsky, it should be -4 or -500, and I'm like, nah, I don't see it. It should never really be that high. I think where it's at now should maybe come down a little bit, if I'm being honest with you. Lipsky is, -280, +240 Molly McCann. I should see maybe -175 for Lipsky, maybe +200, maybe +175 or whatever for Molly McCann. I want to pick Molly McCann, but I'm just kind of being pushed away from it over to Lipsky. I want Molly McCann to win because she's such a really nice woman. She's a ball of energy when you meet her, and her family's lovely as well, to be fair. So, but I think Lipsky is just going to be a little bit more technical, land a bit of strikes. I think she's maybe going to use the aggression of Molly against her and kind of win the fight through that. So I'll pick Lipsky to win that fight there. Alan Crowder against Jairzinho Rozenstruik up next. Another fight I'm seeing people super confident in Rozenstruik, and I think they should be, but there was definitely some red flags in that fight against Albini where he got taken down a couple of times, he got held down a little bit, but you've seen where his capabilities lie with his hands. Very, very, very big combination striking. If he puts those combination strikes together, he can definitely land some bombs and put you down. I actually saw on Twitter today, I've kind of had a little bit of break off social media, but he actually made like 100 of his own shots. It's actually badass, the shot that he's made. It's like nice seeing kind of guys doing that and trying to make a bit of extra revenue for themselves. But Crowder's not that good. He's not going to get a win in the UFC outside of that Greg Hardy win, in my opinion. It seems a UFC caliber fighter. So I like Jairzinho to maybe land a couple of those combination strikes, put him down there, and then win the fight through his heavy hands. So I'll go Jairzinho via TKO round number 2. Blast from the past. Matt Wiman against Luis Pena. When I seen this fight getting made, I'm like, I thought he retired. It's a guy I totally forgot about. I had no idea he was still under the UFC kind of roster. He was still signed to the UFC. And I was like, damn. So I had to go back and watch his fights. Obviously, I watched his last one where he won that fight. I was going to say he lost, but his last loss was to TJ Grant. He beat Isaac Valley Flag very, very convincingly in that fight. And I mean, got some decent wins. If you look back back 5-6 years ago, 7 years ago, Mac Danzig, Cole Miller. I mean, he beat Mac Danzig twice as well. So, I mean, this guy's been fighting the UFC since like 2006. I know he's taken like nearly 5 years off, but he's been fighting in the big competition, the big promotion for a long, long, long time. We just haven't seen him, and the game has changed. If you've heard me in other fights with Luis Pena, I'm not super impressed with him. I think I've picked against him twice. I'm 1-1 in that kind of aspect, where 2-1 actually, because I picked him against Richie Smullen, but 1-2 even. Because I know I definitely picked Steven Peterson. I definitely know I picked Mike Trezano because I bet him in that fight. But yeah, he's long. I like the fact that he's went to 155. He has no right kind of being at 145 with his frame and really kill himself to go down there. Can wrestle. The thing here, I want to pick Matt Wiman, but it's nearly 5 years out. It's one fight in 6 years. That's crazy in this sport. The game passes you by. It's a whole new breed of lightweights. I know his experience is on his side, but I think that I don't know what the kind of difference is in height here. Let me see. This is interesting. I want to see how they stack up. 5'10" to 6'3" and an 8-inch reach advantage. That's kind of where I think I'm going. It is he might be able to keep him that outside, maybe mix in some takedowns. I don't think he keeps him there, but I struggle to see. I'd be surprised if Matt Wiman won this fight. So I'm going to pick Luis Pena to win via decision in that one there. Where are we now? Dan Ige against Kevin Aguilar. This is one of the better fights in the fight card, in my opinion. I really like Kevin Aguilar in this fight, and I've seen some love for Dan Ige. I don't disagree with that. I think he's looked great in his last 3 fights, especially last time in London when he stopped Danny Henry in the first one with a beautiful, beautiful submission. He's definitely starting to put it all together. I just think this is his toughest fight in his UFC tenure against an Aguilar who, against Barzola, you know what Barzola's going to do. He's going to try and work his striking to get in takedowns, and that's what he tried to do. And Aguilar just stopped him from doing that from the get-go. And the strikes he was landing, very, very, very powerful strikes. And he outlanded Barzola and comprehensively won that fight, in my opinion. It was kind of close in the striking stats, but the bigger, healthier thuds were coming from Kevin Aguilar. He was winning that fight with his striking, and that's kind of where I'm seeing this fight here. I don't see Dan Ige. I see him attempting takedowns, but I see him when he feels that power of the heavy hands of Kevin Aguilar, then I think that he will start to question, not question, he will start to change up his game plan. And if it becomes more of a striking fight, I think the more well-rounded striker is Aguilar. I think he's the more powerful striker. Dan Ige needs to get this fight to the ground and keep him there and try and work his submission game, because I think he has a black belt. So that's where he needs to try and get this fight. I just struggle to see him there. I really like Kevin Aguilar. In a week that I don't really like too many bets with the odds, looking at his odds here, he's minus 145. I think in the UK actually right now, he's minus 135. I like that number. I'm kind of hoping that some of the love comes on Dan Ige because he's won a few fights, and that kind of comes down a little bit. But I'm willing to kind of maybe bet someone like Kevin Aguilar this week. And I'm actually going to pick him to win this fight, maybe via stoppage. I'll go a 3rd round stoppage there for Kevin Aguilar, but it's a tough fight. I'm interested. It's one of the fights I'm really genuinely interested in on this card to watch. So I'm going to pick Aguilar for the win there. This fight, I have no motivation to watch whatsoever. Ashley Yoder, Syuri, Kondo, both girls who've got UFC victory under their name, both girls who have taken, I don't want to say taken a lot of punishment, because I know Kondo, she was stopped inside 30 seconds by that massive body kick from Botello. She really got pieced up pretty convincingly against Yan Xiaonan, who we've seen that she's making the correct strides in her game. to making herself like a fairly decent fight. I mean, she took a lot of damage in that fight with strikes from Yan Jiaonan. But in her first fight, she had a lot of output against Chami Jion, which I think was a very close fight. I think initially I had it for Jion, and then when you go back and watch it, I think maybe Kondo did get the W there. But like I said, I don't really have all that much interest in this fight. Yoder's coming in after that win over Amanda Cooper, which I actually thought she lost. And I'm a little bit... it's hard to... this is a coin flip fight for me. I've not looked into it a hell of a lot. I see it either being really kind of dominant on one side for one girl, or it's going to be really super close. And I think it's going to be very, very close. I think Yoder's got more length. She's maybe got maybe a bit more kind of technique to her, but both girls really, I'm still kind of surprised that if by the end of 2019, I'll both be surprised if they're in the UFC. So you know what? I don't know. I'll pick Kondo. Kondo in a very, very close split decision win there. But like I say, I have no real confidence coming off with a girl that's coming off like two losses in the UFC. But I think this could be close. She might just get the edge in it there. Kevin Holland against Alessio de Chirico. I like Kevin Holland in this fight. I think that initially when I before I started watching a couple of fights, I actually liked de Chirico. I thought there might be a bit of value in him. But then once I get into it, I think that his cardio is going to really kind of put me off. I think someone like Kevin Holland is really hard to put away. Thiago Santos kind of found that. And like I say, all Kevin Holland really does is really... He kind of fights to the standard. He kind of lowers his fight standards pretty much. He fights down to fighters. And he just talks too much. Like, I've bet him a few times and he's a sweat. And it's actually a guy I'm kind of looking at from maybe parlaying this week. But yeah, he's just... I think he's got the tools and the talent there. But I mean, last fight against Jaron Mearshart, he got taken down far too easy. Hated that. Absolutely hated that. Threatened with submissions. On the feet, he was not... I don't want to say he was picking apart Jared Mearshart, because he really wasn't. It was a far closer fight than it really needed to be. But he definitely had the striking advantage. He had some nice reversals, some nice passes in that fight. A couple of nice submission attempts, as did Mearshart. Very, very close fight. I thought he did enough to get the W there. But I think this guy, even in the fight with John Phillips, I think that he could have... he gave Phillips too many opportunities. He landed a couple of shots himself. And once Kevin kind of felt that power, he decided, right, I'm going to take you down. And he did that, and he passed very, very easily. And de Chirico, I think he's a solid fighter. But I think skill-wise, I just see Kevin Holland being the more skillful fighter. I thought he was a little bit lucky to maybe get that win over Julian Marquez. I think his takedowns really won him that fight. But yeah, his other wins, Bambosi, Gareth McClellan. Ooh, that is low-level shit right there. So I'm going to go Kevin Holland. Potentially he might get a submission late on. In fact, I'm going to pick him via submission, third round, for Kevin Holland in that spot there. Andrea Lee against Montana De La Rosa is up next. This is a very close fight. It was actually a very good fight, I should say. This is... I was watching some interviews with James Lynch over YouTube. If you get the opportunity, you should maybe go and subscribe to the Score over there and help them grow their channel. James is doing a good job over there. And both girls weren't too enamoured with really fighting each other, because I think that they're friendly outside the cage. They've got a mutual coach who's just moved over to Genesis, which is Montana's gym. She used to work with Andrea Lee as well. So predominantly this is a striker versus grappler type of fight. You've got the striker, the clean kind of striking in Andrea Lee against the grappling of Montana De La Rosa. And you've seen in both aspects, both girls use that to big advantage in the UFC. Andrea Lee completely out-volumed Ashley Evans-Smith. She did get taken down a couple of times, but when she was on the feet, she was absolutely lighting Ashley Evans up and really putting a beating on her on the feet. And then when you look at Montana's last fight against Nadia Kassem, she got takedowns and she was just far, you could see like she was light years ahead of someone like Nadia Kassem, who's still very, very still young in the sport, still learning, very, very, very green. But this is an interesting fight to me, because if you go back and watch Andrea Lee's fights from a few years ago, LFA, she gets taken down, and Montana will, I think, take her down. It's whether what I like about Andrea Lee is I think she's got a bit of a get-up game where she will get back to her feet. But if Montana can keep her there, I think she could definitely threaten with submissions. I think they're pretty similar, kind of height-wise. Montana looks a little bit more leggier, a little bit longer, because I think her limbs are just a little bit longer. But yeah, this is pretty easy to me. I think if Andrea keeps it on the feet predominantly, she wins this fight. She will outbox, out kickbox Montana De La Rosa. Montana's got to use her striking to get takedowns. If she can get those takedowns and keep the fight in the middle of the cage, I think she could potentially find a submission or beat her over the 3 rounds. I really do. Andrea's went all her fights went decision. All Montana's fights in the UFC, she's finished them via submission. But Lee is fairly decent on the ground. I've seen some submission skills and so on with that. I'm going to side with the dog here. I'm going to pick Montana De La Rosa. I think that she can hopefully get takedowns. I see this being. I think she's going to realize that she has to get this to the ground, because she will get outstruck very, very convincingly by Andrea Lee. So I've got Montana De La Rosa be a very close split in that one. Bryan Barberena against Randy Brown's up next. I like Barberena, but I'm not confident that he comes out here and puts a whooping on someone like Randy Brown. Could happen. Got some big kind of red flags with Bryan Barberena coming back off that loss to Lipsky. He took a lot of damage, a lot of strikes. It was a hard knockout at the end of that 3rd round with a couple of seconds left. But Randy Brown, to me, I think he's got a game that can definitely progress. He can mature and be a really good fighter. But I'm not sold it's at this point where he can beat someone like Barberena. But Barberena, like I say, he took a lot of damage in that last fight, and that's a little bit of a red flag for me. If I was to go back a year before, I would have been a lot more confident in Barberena. So the only thing that's really putting me off is just the fact that he had that war with Vicente Luque, and he took a lot of punishment in that fight. When you look at Randy Brown, I mean, he wins very low-level guys in the UFC. He's not looked all that flat, and he's coming off a devastating knockout to Nico Price, where Nico was on his back and he was raining shots off the bottom and knocked him out. So, yeah, and his losses, I think, are to legit guys. Like Price, I've never been a big fan of Nico Price, but you can tell he's heavy, very heavy hands, got very unorthodox as well. Bilal Muhammad, it's just a guy that's really hard to look good against, can outpoint you, can wrestle you. And Michael Graves, I think, is a fairly decent fighter as well. So what is he going to do? Is he going to stand outside and pick Bryan Barberena apart and stop him from pressuring? I don't know. I'll go Bryan Barberena in that one. But like I said, I'm not be betting that. I'll not be doing anything with it. But Barberena for the win there. John Lineker against Rob Font. This was supposed to be Cody Stamen. This is actually a rematch from 2016 down in Brazil, where John Lineker won very comprehensively in that fight. Double the amount of output that Rob Font had. Rob Font didn't really want to sit there and trade, which you don't really want to do with John Lineker anyway, because John Lineker is one of the hardest matchups to have in the UFC. It's a hard fight to really look into when you're fighting John Lineker, because you know what he's going to bring. You know he's all pressure. He's going to be right in your face, delivering power strikes. And if you go out there and fight into his fight, you're going to be in trouble. I loved the Corey Sandhagen fight. I thought it showed a lot about both guys. I thought it was a very close fight. I bet John Lineker in that spot. And when before the cards were read, I was like, I think Sandhagen won that fight. I really did. And I went back and watched the game. I still think he won that fight, even though I've seen people cry robbery. It should have been John Lineker's fight. I don't agree with that for 1 second. I think Sandhagen deserved that, in my opinion, but different people see different things. Has Rob Font done enough in the last few years to maybe make this fight a lot closer, potentially. I don't see Rob Font really looking to get takedowns in this fight. It's something that he did do in his fight with Sergio Pettis, but Sergio Pettis is a flyweight, let's be honest. If there was a flyweight division that was going to be sticking around, he would be down there fighting. Before that, he lost to Asen Sao, who outstruck him, got takedowns, made it look fairly easy, knocked out Thomas Almeida in Boston before that. But we've seen that Almeida's very, very chinny. I just struggle to see in that 3-year span that he's made enough progress with his game to come out here and kind of nullify someone like John Lineker. I think you have to have a really good game plan against John Lineker, where you either have to build the way in, you have to build the way out with, you have to really, what am I trying to say? You really have to commit yourself to your strikes to then potentially look for takedowns, kind of like what TJ Dillashaw did. That's what he did very well. He made John Lineker think he was going to strike and then drop down and get takedowns. I don't think that Rob Font is that. I don't think Rob Font is that type of fighter yet. So I'm going to pick John Lineker to win via decision. In the main event of the night, we've got Renato Moicano against the Korean zombie Chan Sung Jung. Really good main event. Two guys I really like watching. I'm a fan of both guys. You've got the Korean zombie who just puts on great fights all the time. Coming off that crazy knockout against Yair Rodriguez, where he was a second away from winning that fight and got caught with that elbow and he got knocked dead. One of my favourite knockouts of all time. Crazy. Always dangerous in every aspect of the game with his striking, with his jiu-jitsu. He's willing to kind of put it more on the line. I think he took more shots in that fight than I initially thought. I thought actually Yair Rodriguez fought a really good fight. That's as good as he's ever looked, but he was definitely on his way to winning that fight before Yair just caught him with that elbow of craziness right up the middle and knocked him dead. When you look at this fight here, you've got Moicano, who's also very dangerous with his striking. He's one of those just very dangerous fighters altogether with his striking, with his jiu-jitsu, very powerful, very technical, in every aspect as well, where his grappling's technical, his striking's technical. He will mix up combinations and then throw some leg kicks in, very devastating leg kicks, but really good long precision striking as well. We've seen the nice drop of Cub Swanson with a jab, jumped straight on the back, got the rear naked choke, outpointed Calvin Keita with those beautiful leg kicks, completely broke him down. Like I say, and losing to Jose Aldo, that was the fight that I thought was going to really propel him into the echelons of that division. Aldo, when he wants to, still shows up and can still show why he's one that probably maybe outside of Max Holloway, the greatest featherweight of all time, in my opinion. The way I look at this fight here, you've got the craziness of Korean Zombie against the kind of well-rounded technical striking, technical game of Moicano. And I think that when Chan Sung Jung wants to get aggressive, I think he's going to be countered. And I think the counters are really going to put Korean Zombie on the back burner a little bit. I think he's going to start taking some big strikes. And I think he could easily get countered with a shot. Now, if this fight goes to the ground, I think that I would give Moicano the advantage, but don't you can't not write off Korean Zombie in the ground because he's shown he's got some submissions and he's very creative down there. I really want Korean Zombie actually to win this fight. I do. I'm a big fan of Moicano, but I think just the all-around technical game of Moicano, I don't think he's going to go in there and like fight a bad fight where he's going to like engage with Korean Zombie. I think he's going to sit back. He's going to pick his shots really well. I think he's going to pick his strikes, maybe break him down with leg kicks, and just pick his shots. And I think that's really going to be enough in this fight. And I think eventually Chan Sung Jung has to realize he has to come forward. And that's where I think he wins this fight. I think he might catch him and potentially submit him. So I'm going to go Moicano via finish. probably in the late rounds there. But like I say, not super confident because I wouldn't mind the Korean Zombie actually getting the dub there. But yeah, I am going to go Renato Moicano to win that fight there. I can see all you guys in the chat there. Nice to see you. I'm going to get going to bed. I've got work in the morning. Had to get this out to you. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with the Minneapolis picks. It might be a quick 10-minute video on my phone. I'm not taking any of my equipment back home. So I don't know how much fights I'm going to be watching because I'm spending it with my parents. I've not seen them all that much. It's my daughter's second birthday on Sunday. So family first. But I'll try and get something out for you guys. I'll see what I can do. Until next time, guys, enjoy the fight card this weekend. I won't be watching it because I'll be home, obviously. I'll be watching Bellator instead. But until then, until the next time, all the best and see